Back, the Transport Minister Fikile Mbalula has addressed Parliament's Portfolio Committee on progress made by embattled state-owned entity Prasa. That's the Passenger Rail Agency of South Africa. MPs expressed their disappointment that the new administrator, Bongisizwe Mpondo, was a no-show at that meeting. ENCA's Ronald Masinda was there and joins me now from Parliament with an update. So, Ron, have we been given any reasons as to why Mpondo was not at Parliament today?
You told us well, the name of Bongisizwe Mpondo was a subject of much debate at that portfolio committee earlier on, with MPs really up in arms as to why a man who was asked to help relieve or resurrect Prasa was not at that meeting. Now, of course, Mpondo was appointed in December after Minister of Transport Fikile Mbalula decided to dissolve the then board. But also his absence comes to us against the backdrop of much trouble for Prasa, not only financially, but they've also got mounting legal battles. And one member that I'm going to speak to, one person from a civil society group by the name of #Unite Behind, they are one of the latest people to take Prasa to court, and we'll just find out more from their organizer, Ms. Zukiswa Vuka. Thank you so much for your time. First of all, why do you feel strongly about the appointment of Mpondo being an unlawful one?
Firstly, before we had any, interaction with Mr. Mpondo as a person, because recently he had invited us to come to one of the stakeholders meeting, which was held in Khayelitsha. So we didn't just take the minister to court. We first, after he was appointed on the 9th of December, we then wrote to the minister to say, look, this is how we read both the acts that are supposed to be giving you guidance as to how you appoint the administrator. Obviously citing the PMFA, Public Finance Management Act, also the Legal Successions Act. We never heard any response from him as a minister, and so now today, when I was sitting inside, I was quite disappointed to hear him saying that there was never an interaction that would allow him to want to discuss this outside of court. So we feel strongly because you would never see a one-man show. That's number one. And then number two, the Legal Successions Act speaks to appointment of a board, not a person that is supposed to be making decisions that are operational and decisions that are supposed to be, affecting the entire entity. So it's quite questionable, and it's something that we're concerned about, because his legal appointment really opens a can of worms, because should he make any decisions in his capacity as an administrator, it means that someone else can be able to overturn the decisions or even take them to court should the court find out that the person was unlawfully, appointed. So that's the reason why we feel strongly that, Unite Behind can be able to, or we stand to win this case in court, because really, the minister even himself today, he was unable to answer some of the questions that were asked by the portfolio committee, which is the oversight.
As we heard from the minister, he stands by his decision. He says that Mr. Mpondo's appointment is a lawful one, and that Mr. Mpondo has been appointed to help Prasa. The MPs have also grilled Mr. Mbalula, saying that perhaps this man is not right for this position, given his background, given that he's served on previous boards, SAA that have collapsed, for example. What are your views on that? Is that some information that you are taking to court as well?
Look, we're not, as Unite Behind, we're not really, questioning his capabilities. We're not questioning his qualifications to be able to do this job. But now what we're questioning is the legality of his appointment, whether or not the minister was legally guided by these two acts which I've stated before, for him to be able to be in that position. So that's the only thing that we're saying. And besides, the matter, as we're saying right now, it's in court. So we need to just let the court do what they're supposed to do, which is to give us a judgment as to whether Unite Behind is wrong to take the Minister of Transport to court, or the minister is at fault to actually appoint an administrator. So I think it's a matter that's besides courts and is before the courts, and the courts should then decide as to what happens from here.
All right, and if that judgment doesn't go your way, what is the next step?
We're going to continue as a group that has been advocating. Look, we have never been close to working with the minister, right, from the onset, from the ministers before him and ministers before Minister Blade Nzimande. We've never been closed to work with anyone. The main objective is to get the rail going. The main objective that Unite Behind has is to get a commuter safety-centered plan, which is going to help vulnerable groups such as women, children, people with disability, So we're not saying that if we don't win in this case, that therefore we're going to close, we're not going to have a relationship with the minister because of our main objective. We don't want to, the reason why we're taking the minister to court was not because we don't like the minister, was because of his conduct and how he does things.
I have to leave it there. Thank you so much indeed, Zukiso. Well, we also heard earlier on Tula's MPs questioning not only the appointment of Mpondo, but also just how things have been done at Prasa of late. There seems to be quite a lot of turmoil where a number of senior members have been suspended due to a variety of issues, really. And when we heard from the Transport Minister and his DG, he says that they quite rightly were in their rights to suspend those individuals, given that Prasa has been plagued by corruption. So that's where we have to leave it for now.
All right, Ronald Masinda live for us from Parliament with that update on all things Prasa. Well,